I'm overqualified for today's video. I am a concealer expert, a concealer aficionado. I could write Concealer Mag. It comes out twice a year. We are understaffed, okay? Times are changing. It's a digital era. I don't know. I'm sorry that I created my own magazine and it's already failing. Anyway, hey guys, I'm Sloane Glass, and today we're doing Concealer 101. What is concealer? How do I use it? Does it go everywhere? Does it go nowhere? What do I need to conceal? I'm gonna answer it all for ya. Okay, so right now I have no makeup on my face, just a mascara and a little purple eyeshadow on. So I'm gonna put a little primer on because I am gonna be doing face makeup to show you guys about the concealer. My Desert Island beauty products would be concealer and blush because concealer brings life back to your face. And there are different methods. Yes, you can use concealer to highlight. You know what? I'm jumping ahead of myself. Okay. I'm also going to show you guys my favorite concealers, different formulas of concealers. It's gonna be lit. Lit from within. Sorry, I'm feeling so wacky today. I use a very, very light layer of foundation and then I spot conceal. For me, I think that is the best method. Even if you have cystic acne covering your face, horrible scars, I promise you, you need so much less foundation than you think. So that's always been my philosophy, is to use a little bit of foundation and then go in and spot conceal. I think if you start with concealer, you're going to overwhelm yourself and you're going to overuse concealer, overuse product, and end up looking like you're wearing too much makeup. So that's why I like to start with foundation. Today I'll start with concealer since that's the premise of this video. What shade should your concealer be? What a phenomenal question, Sloane. Okay. I am a huge proponent that the under eye concealer should be slightly brighter than the rest of your face. It will make you look awake. So I like to make it either fair or light and have pinkish undertones. Why pink or peach? When I say pink, I mean peach, because that cancels out any blueness or any bags under your eyes. Anything darker or anything that has honey or warm undertones are going to accentuate the dark circles. So if you're using your concealer that you use for your acne and you're wondering why your under eyes look dark, that's probably why, honey. This one from Josie Maran, the Vibrancy Concealer, is really cool because it sets itself. So this is her shade Fair, and even though this is the fair shade, it's still pretty dark, I would say. Like I normally pick the light shade, but I am going fair for this one. And then Tarte Shape Tape is my, if I could open it. It is heavy duty. Like, you need the littlest amount. I'm not kidding you. I think one lasts me forever. For the first time. It has this doe foot applicator. I will say the doe foot applicator gets a bit messy, so in the beginning I like to just take from it and be very conscious of that. I don't know why I'm swatching concealers, but I want to show you guys that the Tarte one is very cool toned in the shade Light. That's why I love it, and I like to use it for any spots that I have since it's so high coverage. So I'm just going to put a little bit around my redness. Right? Ooh, look at that guy. It's like I'm excited because then I got to show you guys how I cover my spots. Oh, and then we're going to get to do concealer brushes, which is so fun. You can't talk about concealer without talking about Bye Bye Under Eye from IT Cosmetics. I'm using the shade Light C, again, cool tone. I'm cool tone, and for any sort of under eye, I like to veer cool tone rather than warm, because warming up the under eyes can make them look a little harsher. Bye Bye Under Eye comes out looking a little different from these guys because it's much more of a tacky formula. It's waterproof, it's not going anywhere. It's definitely full coverage. I love this brush. It's their Heavenly Luxe #2 because I have one side that I can really buff out because it's really fluffy, and then the other one is a little flatter so I can have a bit more precision. So I'm just going to grab a smaller mirror, step in a bit closer, show you how I like to buff out the edges of my concealer. So keep in mind that for these spots, I wanted it to look like my skin. So that's the shade I picked. So I'm really just tapping out the product. And because I'm really well moisturized, it's blending in really nicely. And I'm not picking any products that are drying. See how nice that blended? Now, if we had done foundation first, you definitely have to pick concealer colors that were a little darker to match my foundation shade. Ooh, and then I'm gonna add a little concealer right there under my brow bone. See, concealer can be used for everything. Oh, it's so good. It's also like an eraser. Like, oh, let's just erase that mistake. Let's just erase that eyeliner mistake. Ooh, look at those red guys. All right, can't wait to get rid of those. Okay, let's do our under eye concealing, and I think the best way to show you guys would be to do it how I do it in my everyday life. So I'm going to take a foundation. This is Tarte's Clay Stick in the shade Light Beige, and just do a little. I don't really want a lot of foundation today. I'm actually going to avoid the spots that need concealing because I want to conceal them down my neck and buff it out. Great. So that foundation definitely warmed up my complexion, which I was really looking for with it, since I am so pale right now, and I love this foundation because it still looks so much like skin. Which concealer to pick? So I've showed you guys our Shape Tape, Bye Bye Under Eye, our Vibrancy. I need to put the caps back on. And then I also have a powder concealer that is phenomenal. I love a good powder concealer. This one's from Westmore Beauty. This is almost the opposite of the Josie one because this goes from powder to cream. Very unusual formula. What's so great about it is I can layer it over my powder. So if you're a powder girl, totally hit up this guy. And it's beautiful. It blends so nicely. I was using it all day yesterday. I was like, mwah, love you. You know what? I'll do Bye Bye Under Eye because they really get you with that name. The smallest amount, can you guys even see how small that amount is? That's gonna be too much, okay? You need the tiniest bit of concealer. And why am I bossing you around? Now I'm gonna take this brush just to dab it out. See, with the doe foot, I could have just put it where I want it. But since it comes in this applicator, I'm gonna take the brush, and I like to create an upside down triangle, okay? This is where I'm adding brightness. I'm using this concealer to highlight my face because your face is not all one shade naturally. So when you just put on foundation, you use foundation like a mask, it's gonna look not natural. To blend it out, I'm taking the medium-sized beauty blender. This one is sold to be used for blush. Ooh, they make a smaller one for concealer, but this one's so cute, so I'm gonna use this. Now, I don't ever put my concealer directly under my eyes. That's how I avoid creasing. I use the illusion of the light and concealer below to help cast the shadows upwards. I find that that's the best way to not get creasing, use less makeup, and have really bright under eyes. If I go too close to my actual eyes, that's when it starts to look really cakey. So now that my under eyes are bright, I'm going to go in and spot conceal. For that, I'm going to use my Shape Tape because I love it so, so much. And I'm just going to go over that spot again. And then right by the corner of my nose, I had a breakout. So I put some there. I'll put a bit down the bridge of my nose since I am, again, using this to highlight. And even on my chin because I always like to highlight my chin a bit. And for the sake of this video, my forehead. You know what, honestly, why not, right? We're doing it. It's a concealer video. Okay, since we're doing it, right? Who are we hurting? And now, ladies and gentlemen, we blend it out. Now, for no good reason, I blend the areas I care about the least first, because I get nervous about the ones that matter. So it's like my forehead's not worrying me right now. So it's like I could blend this out closing my eyes. I gotta pay attention when it comes down to here. Ooh, look how good. And see how the concealer is blending in with my foundation, but just like creating a cheekbone? We haven't contoured. We've used no bronzer. We're really just using concealer. And now I'm taking what's left over in the Beauty Blender under my eye. Okay, and now I blend out my chin. See, it just like gives my chin a little like, ooh, who's that chin? Who is she? She walks into the bar and it's like chinny chin chin. A lot of times you see on Instagram and YouTube, people use a dark shade of concealer to contour. Concealer is thick. It is a thick version of foundation. Your foundation is a thinner version of a concealer. Foundation goes over everything. Concealer is meant for spots, tinier bits of your face. That's why it normally comes in a tinier container, right? Okay. Using a dark concealer will make your face look super, super muddy. There's no reason to ever buy a dark shade of concealer to contour. The only reason why you're seeing people do that on the internet is because they're getting huge PR packages with a million different shades of foundation and concealer in it. They don't know what to do with it, so it's like it's gimmicky is what they're doing. So don't think you're using your concealer wrong if you're not using it to contour. That's not what it's made for. That's not what it's meant for, and in the natural daylight, that's not going to look very good. Wow, like, did I just spill some tea? Okay, now that I am fully blended, I have a ton of concealer on, even though I was all like, I just like to spot conceal and use a little bit. But you guys know what I mean. I am going to set, I love this powder from Christopher Buckle. It's translucent and it's just so finely milled that I find it makes my skin look like silk. I love it. I screamed the first time I used it. I'm not kidding you. I think it's so good. Okay. And I actually really love to use my wet beauty blender. So I just take a little bit of it and I'm gonna go over my chin. And we're not doing anything baking or crazy. Just over those spots that were really stubborn. We're gonna push a little bit of the product in, a little bit of the powder, right? Some people say that their concealer creases if they don't set it with powder. If that's your case, then set it with powder. For me, I don't tend to set my concealer with powder under my under eyes. I think it makes me look older. So this is why I like having two different formulas of a concealer. So now that everything is set, everything is good, there's still one little spot that maybe you guys can't see, but since I'm a perfectionist, I do not like, but I've done all my powders and I don't really want to go back in with any sort of cream. It might move things. I don't like the way that the formulas work together past this point. So I'm going to go with my Westmore concealer, the powder guy. This is the shade Light. It's a really great brush that also has two different ends, one for more precision, one for buffing, which I appreciate. I'm going to take the precision end, take a tiny bit of the product, always start out small, and just tap it over that spot. Great. See, now I'm satisfied with the level of concealing. But I think if I'd gone back in with a cream product, the whole thing would have been messed up. I like to have this one in my purse too, because throughout the day, if your concealer moves, this is a great way to touch up. Because I know creams get weird when you start putting them over powders. I think it's fine for the highlight area because you're kind of wanting it to get weird and natural and gooey, but for the areas that have blemishes or any sort of hyperpigmentation underneath, it's like, no. Stay in your lane. And then just a little bit under my brow. Clean them up ever so slightly. I threw on a little blush and lip gloss. Yeah, so what about it? I hope I answered all of your concealer questions, but if I missed any, leave them in the comments and make sure to let me know. Please like this video, subscribe to Beauty IQ, and make sure that you're following us on Instagram and me, Sloane QVC, so that way you always stay up to date with what we're doing. Oh my gosh, you guys, I feel like I did a really good service today, you know? Can I let everyone know the benefits of concealing? Did I mention, by the way, if you're concealing a pimple after your foundation, you can just use a little bit of your foundation. Like, I'll just go in and just tap, 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 and just go over rather than blending it out, because you don't want to use that same light highlight shade of concealer that you were using. You want it to match your foundation. I don't know if I mentioned that earlier, so I'm going to say it now. If you have any concealer techniques that I missed, things that I need to learn, please let me know. I love learning. I learned so much from you guys. Mwah! Thank you. Goodbye, guys. I will see you next Wednesday on Beauty IQ's YouTube channel.